Raised by Wolves, Season 2, Episode 5. Did the Mithraic create the de-evolved beings? We're going to talk about it.
Hey everyone, welcome back to AsArt with Nick and John. So continuing our dive into Season 2 of Raised by Wolves content.
Our spiral.
Hopefully not spiral downwards, but been a really fun episode. I watched this one literally, I think the hour it came out, and then Nick watched it just right before we're recording here. So we haven't talked about it, so it'll be fun to get each other's thoughts and go down into theory town and see where this goes.
Just fresh off the episode too, John. Fresh off the episode, and I was just like, hold on, wait a minute here. I went back to watch
before we even start, spoiler warnings. We're clearly talking about the episode, so spoiler warnings ahead for sure. Yes.
Okay, so I had to go back to Season 1 to do two things for this episode, because I was like, wait a minute, hold on, something's going on here. So first of all, loved this episode. I loved how there's more questions now that I have than I had in the last episode. There's like all these questions. But okay, so Caleb or Marcus, two names, he goes down and he goes through this tunnel of bones or whatever is set up there, and then his little tooth, the Romulus tooth glows, and then if you watch behind the scenes afterwards, nanobots come out. That's what they said it was. It was nanobots, and it gets absorbed into that Neanderthal de-evolved human, and then it creates
nanobots. So nanobots, they're mechanical things too.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And then it creates this creature.
Yeah.
And then right away, I'm like, oh my gosh, are they responsible for the creatures on the planet? So then I went back to the second episode. First I went to the first episode and I couldn't find a creature. And then the second episode of Season 1 is when the creatures attack, right? And when they attack, they're like, we've been on this planet for 12 years and we've never dealt with these creatures before, but it's after the ship crashes. And then maybe after the ships crash, there's technology on the ships which leads to these creatures being created.
Oh, revived kind of, yeah.
Revived or de-evolved or something like that, yeah.
Because I have to ask you. Okay.
He had like the snake skin around him too.
Yeah.
And I wondered if that was like keeping him in like a comatose state, waiting for something down there or something like that, where maybe it was like barely keeping him alive or something.
So I've got plenty of questions with this, and that spot in the show in particular, there was a lot of questions there. So I'm curious.
Did mine make any sense? Really quickly, did I make any sense with that, or does that sound crazy?
Explaining it, or
okay,
no.
I just want to make sure. Okay, go on, John. I'm sorry.
And you're giving the behind the scenes stuff that stuff that I didn't know about. So I would not have picked up nanobots from that. I thought it was just some type of spiritual thing going there. So that's the official word from the showrunners, right?
Yes.
So, okay. So I was curious when we were looking at that. Okay, was this guy? Well, first off, the whole chain he's going down that whole time. Did it stop there because that's where it's supposed to stop, or did it stop there because that huge serpent bone was stopping it from going down the rest of the way?
I think so, but then it didn't, once the bones removed, it didn't keep going down.
No, that's true. Yeah,
and then you would think if you crank it again, it would have kept going down if there was another spot to go down to.
So that was the bottom, because it looked to me like, okay, is this big serpent, bone thing? At first it looked like a spiral staircase. I thought he was going to have to continue down on that spiral. But then it's like, okay, so this is an obstruction where it's actually supposed to stop. And I thought maybe this whole little cave he went into was not meant to be, the stopping off point. It just was stuck there. But do you think that bone wall, he was trapped in there? Or do you think he put that up himself to like protect himself from whatever?
Or he like sacrificed himself to stop the evil or whatever. You know what I mean?
As soon as I saw him though, I was like, oh, you chose poorly. I thought he was going to be like the knight from, Last Crusade. He has he just wakes up. Oh, you chose. I've been waiting.
I'm curious if they speak English and stuff like that too, like everyone else does in the show, or some kind of language or something like that.
So if they're those devolved forms, is the assumption they live longer then? Because he clearly looked very ancient. That he'd been down there for a very long time. So how is he still alive and all this stuff?
The snake skin, maybe? I don't know. That's all I can think about, because he was
I was
himself
thinking
in snake skin or something like that.
I thought maybe he was another Marcus, as far as he was another prophet or whatever, and that's why he was wrapped in that snake skin. He went down there for much the same reason. It looked like it was more of a I think she said it was like a test or something like that. So he went down there and he just never made it back up,
Yeah, let us know down below in the comments what you guys think.
I'd be curious to think that, to hear what other people think.
But with all that comes up, so they have those cards, those data cards.
Yeah.
Because Mother in season 1, she was able to read the data cards, and that's how she went to that virtual space, I'm going to call it, or like going back in time where there was like some kind of ritual going on, and in the center was like the box with the alien head or whatever robot head with the white stuff coming out of its nozzle or whatever, right? So she read the card for that, right? And then soon after that, that's when Paul hears the voice, and then he destroys the cards.
Paul destroyed the card. I didn't remember any of this because
I keep seeing
these cards all over, and I'm like, what is this, a collectible card thing? Like Marcus almost died down there, got attacked by like a merman, and then he's going back up and he's like, but I got my card. Like he looked all happy at his adventure down there, like, but I got my card. It's like, okay, what are you playing? Magic the Gathering? Like, what is that? I couldn't remember what the cards. So Android has to do it though. So he's getting taken back to the settlement. So maybe mother or grandmother is going to get a hold of that, or
I think that's going to be the map to plant the seeds. Because remember at the end, Sue, whose real name is Mary, the voice knew the real name, Mary, her real name, her first name.
Saying Mary,
and then it said plant the seeds, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, I'm guessing maybe that's the map to where to plant the seeds. Maybe that's like 2 and 2, and you have to bring them together, and then they're gonna team up again as a family, and they're gonna go plant the seeds or whatever. But it's very interesting because the voice wanted to destroy the cards though in the first place when he destroyed. So this might be a different voice than the voice we've heard. Maybe there's 2 powers at play here. And because it's not making sense, like why you would destroy it and then not destroy it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very curious because those cards seem like they're very valuable, where the people that live there hold on to the cards.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if that was a Mithraic temple, because there was no sun or anything inside of the temple. Remember when he went into the cave and there was like the sun thing?
Yeah.
There was no kind of thing that really resembled like Mithraic temple.
And they even pointed that out. They're like, this has no symbol on it. This doesn't look like a Mithraic, the followers before they all got knifed, all were pointing that like, this doesn't look like a Mithraic. There's no windows. There's nothing, and it almost looked like actually when you got the establishing shot of that building, and there wasn't a door, wasn't a window. It actually looked like things had fallen outward, like the debris hadn't fallen inward. It had all fallen outward, like something had burst out of there. And I don't know if that's just if I was supposed to read into that, but I always remember in the first Alien movie, when you go by these architects or whatever, you see like you could tell that the chest bursters had burst outwards, and before you ever saw the chest bursters, they're like, oh, it looks like something like actually burst out, and it looked like that building had fallen outwards instead of inwards. So I thought that was interesting, but
it could have been maybe the snakes that use the holes to transport each other.
When I first saw that hole, I thought that's what it was.
Maybe it was to harness the energy of the power or something like that too.
So that was a very fascinating part of the episode, which obviously was meant to be a big, focal point.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious to see, because I would not have remembered about what the usefulness of those data cards was.
I don't know. I had to go back. I literally went back and I was scrubbing it to find the cards, because I was like, wait, didn't he destroy the cards? Like, so are the cards a bad thing? Are they a good thing? I don't even know what's bad or good right now. Anyways, I don't know what good and evil is on this planet. But
and my big curiosity was, for a while, I had thought the voice that everybody's hearing, I thought it was, not a like surreal or godlike voice. I thought it was just someone on the planet somewhere just kind of playing everybody to get whatever they needed out of this.
Like the Wizard of Oz, huh? The man behind the curtain, the great and powerful Oz.
That actually, I wasn't thinking that, but now I'm thinking that. But he knew, or the voice knew, her real name, Mary. So either this,
it was maybe the same voice too that told Paul that Mary or Sue wasn't his real mother.
Oh, that's right.
Maybe he was hearing 2 voices. Maybe it's the same voice. I don't know.
Either this being somehow knows all these things, or they're somehow able to eavesdrop on everybody's conversations at all times and got that information. But at this point, it's like, all right, it's not just some regular person, because they are able to know some things beyond, like you said, it's not Sue, it's Mary. Like they were saying the person's regular name. So,
and then another interesting point about the voice that we're hearing now. Why can people hear it again all of a sudden? I thought they were in the safe tropical zone, right?
Yeah.
So, but one other thing has changed. The other android has become activated. Did something by her being activated mess with whatever the signal is? She like receiving the signal now, and it's being, spread out through the barrier or the safe barrier and stuff like that. So very interested in that. We really didn't get much. All we got was the fetus on the face.
Yeah.
When it's scanned,
as far as grandmother, you mean, right? Yeah.
Yes, as far as grandmother, and then all we got was the fetus on the face, and then the baby's happy and kicking now. Like, it's like a good thing.
Yeah.
Like the baby has been more active or something like that. So is the baby, well, it looked like a human baby. I was about to say, I'm like, hope it's not another snake.
So it was a very interesting episode, because Nick, you had talked about it particularly in one of the earlier episodes, how, Marcus and Paul had that moment when they were kind of reintroduced to each other. Marcus said, you never know, maybe she'll come around, referring to Sue becoming a believer. And, that one subtle hint, ended up coming around to being this thing, what seems like is happening here. And then it's also, I love the line where Paul was talking to Sue saying, well, what's the difference between a god and an alien? It's like that idea of hey, this could be some powerful source, but it doesn't have to be a god in the way you're thinking of it. It could just be someone that has information that the rest of us don't, and, some mystical being, but it doesn't have to be a god figure in the I guess godly sense.
It's true. No, it's totally true.
So it'll be interesting to see where that's going to go, but it's fun that they're dropping those theological kind of thoughts and, just trying to think through it with us as an audience.
And then we had Holly, who did the hologram. The Holly hologram. Oh my gosh, there's too many Hollies and holograms. But so did that remind you of Star Wars? Because there was even the point where she went to hit it off. I'm like,
yeah.
Only hope.
Yeah, that was it worked obviously for what it needed to do in that in that moment, and it looked good. It's just it was very eerily similar to Star Wars, where she's going up and pressing it.
And then before we go into the teaser stuff at the end, we got to talk about the massacre in this episode. John's probably favorite part of the whole series, because John loves violence and bloody stuff, and Viral comes back without a face and does some major damage. Damage. Some really cool sequences, finally getting some cool action stuff.
Yeah.
And what did you think? I don't have any other crazy theories or anything about this. I just want to know John's opinion, because he's an action buff.
I was literally chuckling while I was watching this, because Kyle, we were reading comments from the last episode, user comments, and Kyle just professed his love for how beautiful the mom was, and she's dead now. And by the way, she doesn't look the way she used to either. So so it's kind of funny.
Is she dead? No, I'm just kidding. No, she's probably dead. No,
she has no face and she's hung. She may be dead. But you know what? The interesting part about that, though, is she was a major character in this season. They did not shy away from killing her off, and that's
they kill off a lot of people.
But I like that. All the
Mithraic believers are all gone.
Well, none of them are as prevalent to the story and as much screen time as her.
That was a big chunk of people to kill off.
Yeah, so that was a lot.
There's not that many humans left on this planet at this point.
But I really like that, because, all those people took off from the settlement.
But I'm just saying, you killed off 9 people. And
But I just like the idea that, even people we've invested a good amount of time in, they're not going to hesitate from killing them off. And was the reason she was allowed to be killed off by whatever mystical being is doing the voice, because she lost faith in Marcus and, all of those things. I don't know, because it still seems like Marcus, he was going to get shot in the face, and he's like, Soul will protect me, and he was still protected. And you still see him, even though he doesn't have his power anymore, he doesn't have his air of confidence. He's still like, Soul, help me. He's jumping towards the cage. And then as he's hanging out, he's like, thank you, Soul. Like, it's funny. You know, I really liked Marcus in this episode. His character, he makes me chuckle, but he also, you know, plays the part very well at times. Like, he's a good character as far as, like, especially his development in this episode.
Yeah. And it's cool that they mentioned, so the episode is titled King, right? And as soon as he mentions the tooth was Romulus's, which was a king, he puts it around his neck trying to proclaim himself king. But then you also have the sequence when they're flying or driving. I don't know what vehicle that they're in. I can't remember. But they mentioned like, oh, now that, you know, Mother's the queen, does that make you the king father? You know what I mean? Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was interesting. Like, those are the two kings that were like referenced. But did you go to a PC, John? Did you watch the trailer for next week?
I did not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have some big stuff coming up. I'm pretty excited. We see mother and grandmother kind of get activated, and they're both kind of going into their pose, like their battle pose or whatever. And very excited for that. But there's also stuff too where it looks like mother's with father and they're hooking up grandmother to something. So maybe she's helping,
not all
powering
combat
him.
Based. Okay, so it's not all bad stuff.
It looked like there was going to be a fight in one of the clips, but the other one looks like she's helping father maybe activate this robot so it can get to talking and stuff like that.
Oh, interesting.
And then we also see the snake, which we haven't seen in like 2 episodes now, which is kind of crazy. But we see him kind of get like riled up, and and it looks like he even hurts Campion, and then you see Mother get pissed. So we're curious what's going on here. Like, there's a lot going on. We kind of get the vibe now that Campion's kind of a believer now. And are you excited, John? I'm excited for the next like 3 episodes or so. I think we have 3 episodes left.
The last couple episodes have been really fun. And like you said, you know, I always, in all these episodes, I'm always saying, I hope they wrap up all these story threads by the end of the whole
I don't know if we're
series.
going to get that.
I mean, I hope we get most of those wrapped up, but I don't mind that they're asking more questions than they're answering, as long as it's done in an entertaining fashion. It doesn't just feel like they're just, you know, leading us down a path of we're never going to get any answers. But this was a really fun episode. I like the whole idea of her, you know, she just breaks down. Sue, you know, she breaks down. She's out on her last. She has no hope left, and she finally has to turn to the voice, and you know, she has this crazy hallucination. By the way, I called it out to be a chance.
Snake DNA.
Snake DNA. Oh yes, no, yeah.
I totally
she's just gonna turn into a snake. Yeah,
I totally called it. And then I didn't mention it in our comment review, but someone said, "Is Paul gonna be Voldemort?"
That's pretty funny. This pops out. The boys.
He's like, Campion, come to die. You know, they're like his arch rivals. Campion's gonna be Harry Potter.
But there is the whole thing, and I'm curious if they were just doing this line earlier on in this season when Paul and Marcus did get reunited. They were both talking. Oh, no, maybe this was earlier. I can't remember. But something about, you know, the serpent maybe being the spear or the sword or whatever it is, right? Mm-hmm. And Paul, unless he's completely recovered, still has that in him. So it's like is he going to be that in some way, shape, or form? Or is the full... It would make sense that if this is all tied together, whatever the entity is that's the voice right now, that caused, you know, directly for Mother to birth this crazy snake. It would make sense for that to be that object. But at the same time, it just seems like they've given so much emphasis to Paul and Marcus, one of them being or Campion being this chosen prophet, that I'd be curious to see how they all tie into that, you know, and maybe we're just going to find out that one of them is the important one and the other 2 aren't, you know, but at the same time, I'd imagine they have good
maybe
plans
no
for
one's
major characters.
The important one. Maybe everyone's being used.
Well, and if we hadn't seen previews, then that'd be one thing, but you said there is a tree of knowledge or whatever at some point, and so but
it can also be a vision at this point too.
That is true.
I mean, just like how Sue had a vision with the leeches.
Yeah.
So I mean anything we see, we don't know, even if it's in the trailer, it can be visions and other stuff like that too. Even when we got the whole thing when, you know, they were circling around the object that was spitting out the white stuff or whatever, that was kind of a vision, but it was like read on a data card. So it's like, you know what I mean? So it's, you know, it's kind of up in the air kind of thing. But so, I mean, I'm really hoping we get some solid answers by the end of this season at least, but we're probably not. I don't even know if we're even going to see the tree, but I know that maybe they'll plant the seeds. But you know, with things, how fast things grow, like the snake on this planet, I won't be surprised if a tree just goes, it like pops out of the ground. And then nothing happened with Father this episode, which I was very interested in because he got the glitch in the eye, or the thing happened. The thing went around his eye. I mean, did she download his data? Did she rewrite a program? Did she activate like a hidden program? Maybe he has some superpower that she just activated or something like that. Who knows? I don't know. I want answers from that. And they just like left it off the hook. You know what I mean? Like I thought it would have been cool if he started hearing a voice or something in his head, but no, we didn't. But
and it's interesting. I mean, they just kind of toss it aside almost like you would like a cliffhanger from an episode or a, like,
but they just like
left
it off. Like
he just woke up and he's like, oh, hello, whatever. So I'm curious. I would assume that something more important happened there, but at the same time, maybe that was just their transition going from one episode to another. I don't know. I'm going to be very curious. And I'm still in the back of my mind, I'm still thinking of, our big, kind of, was it Truth, right? Our big robot, right?
Trust.
I
called it the Truth.
Yeah, I know, exactly. In the back of my mind, I'm still thinking about the Trust all the time. It's like, is the Trust going to be reactivated? Because I still can't get over that, when what was it, Campion or the android, someone was going to get shot and then that thing appeared in the sky way out in the desert. It would make sense that it made its rounds, like Grandmother. It would make it sense that the Grandmother made its rounds. And if it is able to read that data so quickly. And now it's not moving
at all.
Yeah. Well, they didn't get that overly close. Maybe it's just, I don't know.
But I'm just saying it was floating around and stuff, and now it's just like at attention. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, it had moved from the one room to the other between episodes, right? Or between when Father, so it moved. It's just choosing not to right now, I'd imagine.
Well, yeah, it's floating around. Yeah, it's glowing, but now it's standing put. Any other theories or crazy things you think are going to happen, John?
I was really curious to see what was behind the veil for Grandmother. And
you think she has the same eyes as Mother, maybe?
I was almost thinking. Eyes? Part of me was almost thinking, did it take? Because the Grandmother was the exact same height as Father, and I thought since Father's,
I thought she was a little taller.
It was pretty close though, but I thought maybe it was going to be the same because he had kind of put his fuel on her. I thought it maybe absorbed it a little bit. I mean, because when he found it, it didn't have an organic looking face, and it's like maybe it just absorbed that. But I don't think the fuel would cause that. Almost like it's not like DNA. I don't think.
Or milk. I'm just kidding. We're not calling it milk anymore. Fuel.
But yeah, I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with that. And you imagine that's going to be a huge thing, but we just haven't gotten to that yet. So this episode was more about Marcus, I would say, as far as the grand scheme of the episode.
And we got some more planet lore. We got to see some ancient humans or humanoid people and some hallways or tunnels blocked by bones, it looks like. So,
and we got more confirmation that this, of course, they hinted that that's where the de-evolved monsters in season 1 were coming from, was humans had been evolved into that. And now we got confirmation because we saw it with our own eyes. Yeah, this is what's happening. And there's technology on this, and we don't really know. Like that was the guys.
Remember, the Mithraic, they don't understand the technology that they got through the scriptures. Like they don't fully understand it. They're like just like going through the Lego set, placing all the pieces together, not knowing the consequences of their actions. So,
but it's fun. I'm really enjoying this world. Honestly, like I'm sad that however many more episodes we have left, we're gonna have to wait a year or two.
I guess we got to find a new show. Let us know down below if there's good shows for me and John to cover. If you're still here, great. Thank you for staying so long.
Thank you.
But let us know. Comment down below for new shows for us to watch. We are into HBO Max for sure. You guys probably are too because you have the HBO Max account. Like we also did His Dark Materials. Me and Kyle are readers of the books. John's really thinking about reading because he really likes the show. But if there's any other shows you guys would like us to cover, let us know. We also do The Boys, and The Boys is coming up. And we're kind of into Disney Plus. It's more me and Kyle, but we're still very slow to getting around to it. So but by far we're HBO Max people. So yeah, comment down below some shows for us to watch.
Yeah, that'd be great. And we're always looking out for fun stuff. I think if you guys have been sticking around and looking at episodes, you're kind of getting a feel for the personality Nick and I have and what we like and things like that. But we're always happy to be surprised by this stuff too. Honestly, this has become a show I've really liked, whereas I was kind of hesitant to even do season 2. And if Nick Hannon had brought it to my attention when season 1 was around, I would have thought this looks like some cheap sci-fi story, just based on the premise before I had watched an episode. And so even stuff we don't think we're going to like, sometimes we really end up liking. So we're always open to new material and fun shows and fun stories. So yeah, let us know down below what you think is going on in this world. If you have any crazy theories on what or who you think the voice is, we'd love to know that. Do you think it's been there forever? Do you think it's part of the planet as a whole? Nick has thrown out a theory that the planet is a constructed, kind of object.
Yeah.
And it's not as crazy as theory. I could actually see that happening. Do you think there's crazy time loops going on, like some comments have mentioned? We'd love to know all that. Check out AsArt.space for all the audio and video links for all the different content we have on here. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be looking forward to the comments, and we'll see you on the next AsArt. Snaky snakes.